It's been 60 days since I started putting this garden in. No synthetic chemicals, no blue fertilizers, and if I'm being completely honest with you, nothing's really producing just yet. But that doesn't mean nothing's actually happening. Let me show you what actually is. Most garden updates you see online are just going to be highlight reels of what's actually going great in the garden. Everything's bursting, everything's perfect, it's all just perfectly in line. And just look at this harvest and look at that harvest. That is definitely not this garden, especially not right now. The spinach never came up, that big old bare spot behind me that we just replanted. My collards got attacked by bugs, which we ended up having to deal with them. It's the little white butterfly, moth-looking guys. The cabbage worms were having their way with that. And the tomatoes and peppers, they're healthy. They're just not producing yet. Still got a ways to go. Another couple months, we might have a harvest video for that. But here's what I wanted to show you. The stuff that is working and why I think some things are failing, and what 60 days of synthetic-free growing actually looks like without cherry picking the best stuff. If there's one group of crops that's actually kept me fed for the last month, it's definitely going to be collards, mustard green, kale, which they're not looking great since last week, but it is what it is. This stuff happens. I've been harvesting off of these plants for weeks in a cut and come again style. All you do is you go ahead and take the outer leaves off, leave the center leaves, and every week we're producing almost 10 pounds just off of the plants that I'm showing you today. When we planted these, we went ahead and used compost down at the ground level. We were testing till versus no-till on these. They seem to be really doing well in the compost, but we haven't used anything other than that on them in a BT spray to deal with the cabbage worms. And we actually don't even have these on irrigation right now because, well, it just keeps consistently raining. So once we start seeing the drought coming in, then we're going to have a free drip irrigation setup, how you can set up a drip irrigation just to give it a try. One thing I've definitely noticed with these greens is, one, they don't seem to mind all these frickin' weeds. Two, they don't really need much. We composted, we amended in the beginning, and they have just been consistently producing. I have not done any fertilizer to these at all yet, so pretty happy with it. Actually, I'm probably not going to fertilize because we're going to turn this bed over to start prepping for the fall crop here in the next couple weeks. And then with the situation we're having right now, having something like these greens and these cabbage, potatoes, stuff like that are just producing, even though we're still working a lot of kinks out for this bigger garden, is a big help, because with everything else not producing, it can be a little discouraging. Now these collards here, they did take a hit from some of the bugs. We'll discuss that a little bit later, but the mustards and the kale, they just keep on rocking no matter what. That one looks like it's finally got hit by something, but the other ones, we just harvested Tuesday, we just harvested again, and it's Saturday, and they're already putting on new leaves, so can't beat them. So if you can't tell, this was actually supposed to be a spinach bed, but now it's became home to our bok choy, eggplant, some okra, zucchini, parsley, because we thought we planted it at the right time, was doing the watering, tarped it off, had everything obviously in pretty good shape, and just nothing ever came from the spinach. I don't know if I was just a little too early or what, but it was a fail. But just goes to show you, no matter how much planting you do, sometimes the garden's going to do its own thing. You got to throw the Hail Mary. I had a gentleman the other day tell me he liked my style of gardening and referred to it as gladiator gardening. And it's true. As soon as a plant dies, I either go ahead and throw another one right back in there. We always have plants on hand to do that, or I go ahead and start direct sowing, especially in the month of June, whenever everybody could be direct sowing at this point. And in the name of talking about things that failed, so these collard greens, for whatever reason, about 2-3 weeks in, I started noticing a whole lot of holes in them. Of course, cabbage were taking the same damage. Got to checking it out. Of course, the cabbage worms were definitely on all of the above. Ended up hitting them with some BT. And then these collards went crazy. We started getting just straight week after week, just harvest after harvest. And then the cabbage finally, after getting some of that bug pressure off of them, really started putting on really nice heads. So we're getting there slowly but surely. Synthetic free is not always easy. Sometimes it really tests your patience. It's a little hard to tell, but this was actually radishes within the last week or two. This morning I came out and pulled some of them because they started bolting. So now it is a tragedy that they bolted, because I was hoping to get a little bit more out of them than that. But it is what it is, and I could have let these go to seed, and I actually still do have some radishes trying to poke through here. Oh, hey. Ha! I missed one. And they're decent. They're not great, but they're not bad. And what's great about the waste not, want not method is I can take these 3 bolted ones. They're a little wilted because somebody threw them on the hood of his truck and then forgot about them. And we'll just go over and see my friends. See if anybody's going to be on the move this morning. Guess what? Radishes for days. My bad, bro. That one kind of looks like that one. Oh, that one's got a good little thing. Seems like everybody else passes. Hey, guys, go. All right, back to actual gardening content. Now, I will say with this looking so bleak and just not great right now, the best thing about radishes, and if you're starting to garden or if your garden's taking its sweet time, I would suggest radishes. I wasn't even going to plant them, but the wife wanted them, so you do what you do. But it's a super quick harvest, 3 to 4 weeks after putting the seeds in the ground, and you've got radishes. And it's really great when everything else is taking its sweet time to have something you can just grab, spice up, eat raw, whatever you want to do. It's very versatile, and use them while waiting for everything else to catch up. Volunteer sunflower. But here's the thing that catches a lot of people up when it comes down to synthetic free gardening is the fact that some plants are just hardwired to grow on their own. Radishes, greens, turnips, beets. I'm just telling y'all, one of these days I'm going to figure out beets, and I'm going to figure out if I like to eat them or not. But today is not that day. So we specifically had to walk down and check this one out. So if you notice, I mowed this morning because this was getting super carried away because we had to move the tarp and then been working on that. So the tomato patch down here kind of got neglected a little bit. Oh, there's a friggin' beetle. I don't know what he is, but he's shiny. He's just so shiny. Such stuff. Look at that sucker. I'm so proud of him coming up in all them weeds, and then that one's doing the same. Another one, those next 4 or 5 are just fantastic. Some of my peppers are looking like they're taking a little bit of damage. We hardened them off, but they're still a little pale. I think I'm going to be hitting them with a lot more nitrogen. I might hit them with nitrogen, I should say. Some Alaskan fish fertilizer or something along that lines. So our tomatoes are definitely doing a lot better than our pepper plants, but I'll get that fixed. I ain't tripping. Most of our tomatoes are super thick, super healthy, and just coming along great. And actually this spot specifically, it's crazy because right here is where the compost pile initially was. That's why this random, I think it's a zucchini, to be honest. But then somewhere in here, I saw a big old bulb on it. There it is. And so I think it might be white pumpkin again, maybe acorn squash. Not sure. I hit them with the mower last year, so it could be anything. And this is actually probably the best looking plant we have right now. Well, next to the potatoes. My potatoes are fantastic, and so are my onions. But even though everybody looks great and they're starting to put on fruit, even the peppers are actually starting to fruit, I can't sit here and say that they're producing for a video that says honest review, honest exposure of what I got. Oh man, that sucker sharp. Ow. I like being barefoot. Don't be rude. And the one thing I do have to say with the synthetic free garden is the fact that I could come in here and dump a whole bunch of nitrogen to these, but I risk and get a better harvest sooner. But I'm going to risk the fact that these plants are going to grow, get leggy, and they may get a harvest sooner, but later on we're going to be dealing with pest damage. They're going to be dependent on the nitrogen because they're lazy, and their roots never grew down because I'm providing it right at the surface level. So it just runs on its own timeline. Don't get overwhelmed. Just do a little bit each week as you can. And don't be afraid to grab the lawnmower and just come through here and butcher that, because I do it all the time, and my garden produces great. So it somewhat works. So what we're actually trying to do here is build better soil and not so much dump anything fertilizer on here. Now I'll use Alaskan fish fertilizer. I'll use a lot of the Fox Farm products, and it all seems to do great. But my biggest goal is to mix as much organic material into this garden as physically possible, so that way this soil will help produce plants that look like that one out of these ones. And then later on, when it's putting on fruit, that plant can actually support large amounts of fruit. Our plants last year did the same exact thing they're doing this year, where they at first and then by the end of it, we ended up with 300 pounds of tomatoes and so many peppers that I still have some in the freezer now. Plus I dried them and everything else. So just be patient, do what you can do, and amend as you go, because the more you amend, the more you mulch, the better off it's going to be. Once we move the tarp from over there to where the greens are now, I'll show you the best thing that I found with doing these using grass clippings is mulch with the tarping method. It goes awesome. I want to get that. All right, so 60 days of synthetic free growing. We have radishes in and out in less than 3 weeks, collard and kale that'll just blow your freaking mind, along with the mustard greens. Tomatoes and peppers aren't producing great. And if that sounds like a mixed bag, it kind of is. But I think not every video I make needs to be a harvest flex, and I want to show real gardening and how everything works. And sometimes I feel like that might be the most useful thing, because if you're sitting there looking at your garden discouraged, look at this sucker. And I've been working on this at least 2 to 3 days a week. If you're growing anything this season, go ahead and let us know down in the comments below what's working, what's taking its time. And go ahead and let us know in the comments below what zone you're in, general area. I'll help you troubleshoot your issues. I read every single one of them. I respond to every single one of them. And if you like this video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We have shorts pretty well daily, and we do deep dives at least once a week. We're Carter's Gardens. We're growing synthetic free, good food from good soil, and we'll see you in the next one. Quick reminder, I'm going to go ahead and throw the playlist for the garden game plan for 2026. Go ahead and check that one out. I've been putting all of our long form deep dives in there.